Okay, so this is the sleeve. This is how your sleeve should look. Remember, we have to gather in at the front. Leave your strings long until you insert it in. And you're just going to stitch right along this line. Remember the back stitch. 5/8 of an inch, unless the directions tell you different. And just do a straight line. Remember to leave your opening, because you got to have somewhere to put your arms through. And you just go all the way up to this point right here, back stitch, and then stop, and you should be ready to insert your sleeve. All right. Okay, we're at our final stages, and this is what your garment should look like thus far. This is the back, because the dip is in the back. I love, 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 love this fabric. It was worth every penny. Okay, you're gonna put right sides together at the shoulder seams, and you're gonna pin. Now I'm going to use some jelly tape, and I'm just going to measure. This is the jelly tape, nothing fancy. You guys saw me get it off my shirt. It's clear. So I'm going to pin my jelly tape to this, cut it, and do it the same way the other side. So start matching up your shoulder seams. You should have your notches at the top. Here's one notch, here's the other notch. Match your notches and start pinning. Any loose strings that you have, you can cut it. Again, I'm using my serger, so it's going to cut all that. If you don't have a serger, you can always use a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine. All right, so that notch. And I'm just going to pin the top part of this. And again, you have stretch, but again, remember you guys had the ease. So with the ease for this side, you would literally make this, because this is bigger than this. I forgot about that part. You can pull this gather stitch to make it fit on this one. And that's what you would do with both. But because I have the jelly tape, it's going to shrink it on there for me. So what I'm going to do is just pin it right here, and I'll have a little bulk, which is fine. All right, so after you pin your notches together, again, you're going to pull this, make it fit on this. You should have edging on both. This should be edge, that should be edge. Pull it till the lines up with each other. It'll be kind of scrunched like that, and that's that. So after you do that, then start going under the underarm. Remember, this is the part where your arm is going to be at. So we start, and we just start pinning all the way down. Match your notches up. So I had 2 notches right here, and you just want to kind of pin all the way down to the bottom. And then it's time to sew it. You guys can sew that on your own. You don't need me, because there's no curves, it's just a straight line. You're going to kind of go out a little bit, and then after that, we're ready for the sleeves. You guys can do your hems, and we are all finished. All right, so I will come back with all this serged up so I can give mine a good pressing. Remember, after each side seams you do, you make sure you press it open, and you press everything as you go to make it look more professional. All right, you guys, I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so here's the jelly tape. I'm holding it. I cut it a little bit longer than the actual fabric, and I'm just going to pull on the jelly tape as I sew. I have my needle in a down position. And I'm going to move my pen. And I'm going to just, the jelly tape stretches. It's almost like elastic kind of, sort of, but it's not. Oh, I think I missed it. Let me back stitch a little bit. There we go. And that is how you add the jelly tape. And even though my line's all crooked, it doesn't matter. I'm going to serge this off. But you see it kind of gave it that gather. This side, remember, was bigger than this one. With the jelly tape, I was able to just ease it right in there. I'm going to do the same thing with the other side, but I'm going to try to be a little bit neater and not look at the camera and focus on the sewing machine. Alright, that is it. Again, if you have jelly tape, be careful, this is plastic. Open up your seams and press it. But put something on top of it because you don't want this to stick to your arm. Okay, so now it's time for us to insert our sleeves. What you want to do is identify your side seam. Your side seam means exactly that. It's the side of your garment. Okay, this has a lot of seams in it, as we know. We have the two front seams, and these are called princess seams because of the way of the curvature is going. But look right here, point to your side seam. If you have to, put a pin in your side seam so you won't get confused. Use a color pen. And that is our side seam. This goes to the side of our garment. Okay, now keep your fabric on the right side looking up at you. Take your sleeve. Remember we had that E stitch. I kind of pulled mine out a little bit because I did the other side. But you want to match this seam line. This is the only seam you have on your sleeve. You want to match this seam with your side seam. And here's how we do it. We stick our sleeve inside of our shirt. Pull. Remember you got your pen. And this is how we will actually wear it. So now you want to turn everything facing you. So you got it all bunched up in there. And what you want to pay attention to is this seam that you put your pin in so you can identify your side seam and it won't be confusing. You only have one seam inside the sleeve. We did that one stitch all the way up. Open yours up if you don't have a serger. If you have a serger and yours is serged in the inside like mine is, then that line right there, that seam line and this seam line, we want it to kiss each other. So right sides together, give me a big kiss. Mwah! And both of these lines are going to match up. Stretch it apart if you have to find that seam line. And you're going to lay it right on top of each other. Just like that. And stick your pin there. And now you're ready to go around. Follow your notches throughout the process. If your notches does not line up, I know on my side, see, my notches didn't really, well, actually, yeah, it is lining up. On the opposite side, it didn't. But I let some of the tension out of this side. And it seemed like it's lining up pretty well. Put a few pins. If you have to put a lot of pins, you can. If you're not really good with doing sleeves, again, use your dress pins. And I believe these are called dress pins. I could be wrong. But pin all the way around and stitch right over your pins. You'll be fine. And that is how we do our sleeve. You always want to make sure you match up the top of your shoulder as well. This is the peak of your shoulder. You want to match that up with your shoulder seam. You want to make sure everything fits. If you have to make any adjustment, use your ease and stitch and pull it. Remember I said keep your ease and stitches kind of long so that way you can pull it when needs to be pulled and kind of fit it in there. If it's too small, you pop the stitches by pulling it and you make it fit. So you sew it all together. You do your neckline and your hemline and you are all done. And your sleeves, of course, and you are done. So I will show you the garment after it's completed. Bye bye.